Okay, what's going on, guys? It's Hansol here, and welcome to another video. Today's video, I'm going to be covering keybinds due to high requests, and this is one of the biggest videos that have been requested, like not recently, but in the whole span of me doing YouTube. People always ask for my macros, my keybinds, my add-ons. I've covered everything, but for some reason I never really got around to doing this video because I didn't really know how to explain my keybinds to you guys, because it's really messy. The whole process is very messy to explain, and most of you guys probably won't even understand this. I've tried doing a video like this before, but I just didn't end up uploading it because it was like a 20-minute video and it was just like all this information mashed together, so unorganized, which this video will probably kind of be like that, but it'll be a little bit better because what I've actually done here is I have my keyboard and mouse on the screen here below, so you guys can kind of see and get an idea of how I play, the way I play. So hopefully this helps. Keep in mind, this video is not going to be for everyone. This is only for people that haven't had situated keybinds yet. People that are trying to figure out a good, bind section. Or if you just want to know my keybinds, I guess that's cool. Also keep in mind that keybinds are all personal preference. So like, it's all about what's comfortable for you. Because if you look at somebody's keybinds, like someone that you don't know, and you look at their keybinds, you're just 99% of the time you're going to think their keybinds are stupid or retarded. Or just like, why do you have that binded there? Like, what's the point? But the thing is, like I said before, it's all personal preference, and whatever you're comfortable with, like, don't even care what other people think. So I mean, yeah, keep in mind my keybinds are kind of weird, but to me they're perfect because I'm so used to it, you know what I mean? But anyways, let's get started. As you can see, the biggest important hardware that you need for keybinds is a mouse and keyboard, because that's how you play the game. Some people ask me if I have a Razer Naga, and no, I don't. I have a 5-button Logitech mouse, which, it's nice to have a mouse that's at least more than 2 buttons for sure. And then for my keyboard, it's a fairly different keyboard compared to other people's. If you look at it, like, what do you see different? Like, the first thing you notice about it, what is it? Well, first of all, the keyboard is quite fairly small. Like, this is a mini keyboard compared. Some keyboards are like this big and stuff because they have a numpad. I actually used to use a numpad keyboard as well. I just got this new keyboard about a month ago. It's called the Keycool 84 key Cherry MX Red's mechanical keyboard, and this is my first mechanical keyboard that I've ever had, and it's really nice. And people always ask me, why don't you get like a Razer keyboard or something like that, because that's what everyone likes nowadays. The answer is quite simple. I actually am very strict on buying keyboards because the F keys, the F1 to F12 keys up here, that's another thing you'll notice that's different. Most keyboards have their F1 to F1 keys up, F1 to F12 keys up here, like at a really weird spot, and that really sucks for me. Most people don't care about that, but it's really important to me because, as you can see right here, I actually have the F keys binded, so I use all these keys up here as well. I started doing this ever since Cataclysm, so it's very hard to like get unused to it. So it's just the way I play pretty much, so it's very important for me to have that. Going into my binds now, I actually use Q, W, and E to move. So Q to move to the left, W to go forward, and E to go to the right. Pretty basic. People like to use A, W, and D to move. I actually don't like that because I like having all my movement keys on one line, so I don't have to like go like this. It just feels weird. My fingers work perfectly on the same line. A and D are just keyboard turns. I don't actually use them. I should probably bind them. To another spell, but I haven't done that. So yeah, those are my movement keys. Another way I like to move is with my mouse. So like, I double press on both my buttons, and I move around like that. People might think that's a little weird to move like that, but it's actually very, very important to move that way when playing with the Fire Mage. We're playing as a Fire Mage because, say like, okay, first of all, my Conal abilities like Dragon's Breath and Cone of Cold, I press them with my middle finger. So like Dragon's Breath, for example, is on 3, and then Cone of Cold is on F3. So I hit them with my middle finger, and the reason being is because I like to move side to side while pressing them. Say if the Conal ability was on like 4, then I would not be able to strafe to the right and press 4 at the same time unless I like did this, but that's like pretty uncomfortable. I'd just rather like go like this. Or say if it was binded to 1, I would have to like, I couldn't strafe to the left while pressing it. I would have to like do this or something, which is not very good when you're trying to play quickly and stuff. So yeah, so what I like to do is when aiming Dragon's Breath, people aim with their keyboards a lot, and people are always like, how do you aim your Dragon's Breath? Because I seem to miss mine a lot. Well, you actually have to aim with your mouse. So you're gonna go aim the direction you want and double press and move forward that way, and then use your Q and E to like position yourself better to get a good aim, and then just press 3 with your middle finger and you hit the Dragon's Breath. That'd be funny if I missed. But yeah, anyways, that's how I like to do it. That's how I aim my stuff, and it's very, very efficient for, you know, PvP. Secondly, so my 3 keys are my conal abilities. My 1 keys are pretty much my setup abilities. So F1 is Frost Nova, and then 1 is Deep. So whenever I start bursting, I'm pressing these 2 fingers with my middle finger, or my ring finger. And then my 2 keys are my instant abilities, ranged instants. So 2 is Infernal Blast. That's a key I use very often to get Pyro procs. And then F2 is my Ice Lance. Ice Lance, people ask me why I use Ice Lance. It's actually really good when you're fighting like shamans or warriors, because when they spell reflect, you can Ice Lance it instead of like chucking a Pyro at him. Because if you chuck a Pyro at him, that's going to reflect and do big damage to you. So you just want to minimalize that effect as much as you can. And then also for shamans, if you want to like get grounding totems down. Also, one thing before I go any further, I actually have my right bars hidden, but those are actually more abilities as well. What I put here are pretty much my focus abilities. So kind of like focus counterspell, focus ice lance, focus combust stun, focus polymorph, things that I don't really need to see because I already have them here. As you can see, my polymorph is already on my bar, the counterspell is already on my bar, the ice lance is already here. So I just put spells on the right bar, which I can hide. Also abilities that don't have cooldowns, like my armors for example. I don't really need to see the cooldown of them, right? Because they don't have a cooldown. I can just hide this complete bar and still it wouldn't affect me at all. And my buffs as well, I just have them binded there. Same with slow fall, I don't need to see slow fall. My portals, I'll show you how I use them later. My food and stuff like that. You know, anything that I don't need binded, like my mounts, is just all over here. So anyways, for my 4 keys I use Fireball. I don't use Fireball very much. And then F4 is Living Bomb for my dot. And then for my 5 keys, F5 is Polymorph, and then 5 is Pyroblast. So as you can see, all these keys on these 10 keys right here are abilities I use very, very often. So it's very important for me to be able to reach them very easily. As for my bottom right actions, these are pretty much my burst abilities and defensive abilities, like my shields and my alter time, mirror images. So let me go start with my shield first. My shield is binded to S. S is normally a backpedal keybind, but I have that unbounded because you don't want to have that in PvP. You don't want to backpedal. I binded S to shield, or shield to S, because S stands for shield, and I don't know, it just helped me like remember the bind more easier when I first started, I guess. And then my encounter word is Shift E. To burst, pretty much when I get my procs, I press 2 like I said before, and my DPS trinket is on Shift D, and then my palm is on Shift S, my alter time is on Shift W, and my frost draw is on Shift F. So I'm gonna show you a little demonstration of me setting up on real time. So that's pretty much how I set up. That was really quick, so you probably didn't even pick that up. But pretty much when I burst, I hold down my shift and press the keys accordingly when I need to. Those are mostly alphabetical keys for bursts. These are the number keys are for my situational abilities and common abilities, and my burst is on my alphabetical keys modified with shift. And then also if I'm dying, I can just press Shift X and pop my mirror images. Since my DPS trinket is on Shift D, I also have Engineering Gloves, that's on Shift R, which actually gives me almost 2k intellect for 10 seconds, so it's pretty much my another DPS trinket I can use. For my remove curse buttons, I have them on my C button. So like to remove curse, I have macros first of all to remove curses off my arena party teammates. So to remove curse off my healer, I do Shift C. To remove curse off my DPS partner, I do Alt C, which is right here, and then to remove curse off myself, I do Control C. Like I said, Shift C, Control C, and Alt C to remove curses. And then as for my trinket, it's on F. And then my Will of the Forsaken is on Alt F, so pretty much my outs are Fs. And then to Ice Block, this one's actually pretty weird, but I'm actually very used to it. It's binded to Shift Scroll Up, and that's how I block. And if I want to come out, I just press 2, which is done by my macro right here. It's cast Infernal Blast and then cancel Ice Block with it. So I can just cancel Ice Block by pressing Infernal Blast and continue to get procs. My blink is on B for blink. I know it's a very far keybind, but I've actually gotten very accustomed to that bind, so it's very easy for me to do that. My invis is on T to invis. My health zone is on shift G, and then my cold snap is on shift T. So these two are kind of like my heals and resets, pretty close to each other, so I can, you know, because they're related. And then I use Alt 5, sorry, for evocation, and Alt 3 to use a mana gem. So my Alt number buttons are my mana regens, my Shift T and G are my heals. And then I also have my Flame Strike binded on Alt mouse button. Let me actually get into my mouse buttons. Like I said before, I use a 5-button mouse. There's one button right here, second button right here, there's a third button in the middle that I use, and then I also have 2 buttons on the side for my thumb. The thumb buttons are very effective when it comes to PvP because thumb buttons are very quick to reach. As for like when you bind stuff like right here, it's kind of gonna take a little bit longer to reach, like just a millisecond or two. But since you're moving with these fingers, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna kind of distract you from it. So having buttons and spells on your other hand just makes you be able to multitask a little bit better. So the best way to use these keys would be to bind abilities that you need to use very quickly and something that is very important. So there's 2 buttons right here. My number 1 button is counterspell. I press that and it's a counterspell. And then this button, the bottom button right here, is Scorch. I have palm up right there, so it's an instant Scorch. But yeah, this is my Scorch spam. I don't use it as much, but I had this bind set up ever since Cataclysm, and in Cataclysm you have to use Scorch a lot more than before. So I have that binded there. And Scorch is really good to bind there on a thumb button because you're always moving when casting Scorch because you can cast it on the run, right? It's the only spell you can actually cast while running. And say my Scorch was binded on a 4, it would be very hard to strafe to the right while using E and pressing 4 at the same time. Like you would have to like go like this or something, which is very uncomfortable. Or say you had Scorch binded to 1, you can't strafe to the left while pressing 1 unless you want to like go like this. But then if you need to poly, you have to like go so far, you know. It's just like, it's better if I just like am able to just Scorch like this. Very good. And like I said before, my counterspell is this button right here. My Scorch is this button right here. And actually my focus counterspell is the same button, but I have it modified to Alt. So I press Alt and I press counterspell. It'll actually counterspell my focus target right here. Same goes for all the other ones. I use Alt as a focus modifier. So when I want to use abilities on my focus, I just press Alt and then press the same button most of the time. And yeah, that's about it. I also, for my armors and stuff, I use Shift 4 for molten armor. I'm lagging. Okay, Shift 4 for molten armor, Alt 4 for frost armor, and Shift Z for mage armor. And then Alt 1 for my buff. And then Blizzard is Alt scroll wheel down. And yeah, they're really weird keybinds pretty much, but I mean, you don't really need to copy any of those. I also have multiple action bars, as you can see right here. I like doing that because I run out of action bar space, so I just use these ones. Nothing important because like I have pretty much rocket boots, which is nitro boost, a speed boost from engineering, and then the hang glider, just pretty much profession stuff, band-aids, and then tailoring nets to root them in place. So what I like to do is actually press Shift 2 to switch action bindings. Press Shift 1 to go back to my original action binds. So it just goes like this. And then I also use Shift 3 and then switch my third action bar and just press my food with this button right here. So I can actually bind my food and not click it. And then my mount is binded to the squiggly line right here beside the 1 right here. And then my flying mount is Shift squiggly button. So I pretty much bind everything. The only thing I don't have binded is Conjure Mana Gem. So yeah, those are my keybinds. Hopefully that kind of gave you an idea of how I play. I know this video wasn't for everybody, but there were people that wanted to know, so I just decided to show you guys how it is. Alright, so that concludes my keybinding video. Leave requests down below on which guide you'd like to see next week, and if you get lucky, you might get chosen. So yeah, hope this helped you guys out, and I'll catch you next week. Keep burning shit.